Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at enumerators in basically use and see how they're actually used. So let's take a look at the sports car class, and here we have a private car type. What's car type? Well, I'm going to assume it's a class, and we're going to go ahead and have a make object. We're also going to have a car color class and basically have a color object, and we're going to have a price, which is double data type. And then I have a sports car constructor, and there I have car type A make, car color A color, and double A price. And that's where I go ahead and make the make equal to A make, color equal to A color, and price equal to A price. And then I have my get make, get color, get price, and then I have my toString. Okay, I do not have any setters because I'm utilizing my constructor as my setter. So what the heck is car type? Well, if we take a look at car type, here we have a enum car type, and inside the braces we have Porsche, Ferrari, and Jaguar. So car type is a class, but it's an enum data type. And here we have car color, enum, red, black, blue, and silver. Okay. So how the heck are we going to use this? Well, if we take a look at the, I believe it's the sports car demo. Here we have sports car, your car. So here's the class sports car. We're going to create an object called your new car. It's equal to sports car, car type Porsche, car color red, and what was that, $100,000? And then display print line your new car. So we're going to rely on the toString method to basically take care of that. So if we run this, we see make Porsche, color red, price $100,000. So not too bad. Okay, not too bad at all. Um, so that's kind of how enumerators are used. They're kind of like constants, but kind of a grouping of constants that we can basically put somewhere and utilize them however we need. Day of the week, month of the year, so on and so forth. And that's kind of how it's utilized. Now, if we take a look at Sports Car Demo 2, there we basically say sports car year. So we're doing the same thing, and we're going to go ahead and initialize it to Porsche, red, and 100,000. And then we say switch your car dot get make. And if it's Porsche, we say your car is made in Germany. If it's Ferrari, it's made in Italy. If it's Jaguar, it's made in England. Default, I'm not sure where your car was made. Okay, so we're basically using the enumerators to basically get those types of use those types to basically get what we need. So in this case, I'm saying if it's a Porsche, if it's a Ferrari, so on and so forth. So again, if we run this, it comes back and says your car was made in Germany. Okay. So not too bad. Okay, if we turn to page 544, and let me go ahead and bring that over here. And here is this thing called garbage collection. Now, basically, the great thing that Java does is it's constantly out there taking out the garbage for us. And what we mean by that is once we create a variable, and now we no longer need that variable, maybe because, again, we talk about local variables, they are born basically at that beginning brace, and at the ending brace, they're dead. They're no longer used. So they're still sitting out there taking up memory. Well, what happens? Well, we have this process called garbage collection. And it says when an object is no longer needed, it should be destroyed so that the memory it uses will be freed for other purposes. Fortunately, we don't have to worry about that. Java takes care of that for us. The Java Virtual Machine, the JVM, periodically performs a process known as garbage collection, which automatically removes unreferenced objects from memory. For example, if we look at this code, so here we have bank account 1 and bank account 2. So we've created two bank accounts. They're not instantiated yet. And then I say account 1 equals new bank account $500. Account 2 is equal account 1. Now, remember what happens there. Basically what we have now is we have two object names pointed to the same object. And then we say account 1 equals null, account 2 equals null, and then basically at that point, what happens is it says now the object is no longer referenced, so it can be removed by the garbage collector. So basically, once we have set those to null, that says we no longer need them, and the garbage collector comes along and says, "Up, I see they're no longer needed," and we'll basically go ahead and clean those items up. So again, here we have account 1, the balance, and account 2 is equal to account 1. Again, they're both identical. Think of this as an object with 2 name tags. And then this is set to null, and this guy is pointing to that. And then when it's set to null, well, now they're sitting in the memory basically just taking up, doing nothing at that point, and the garbage collector will go ahead, and when it basically runs automatically, it will go ahead and clean those things up. It says the finalize method. If a class has a method named finalize, it is called automatically just before an instance of the class is destroyed by the garbage collector. If you wish to execute code just before the object is destroyed, you can create a finalize method in the class and place code there. So what's nice about that is it will go ahead and automatically run just before the garbage collector. Okay, and you just call it finalize. So just create a method called finalize, and it has to have a void return type. So make sure it says public void finalize, and then basically no arguments. You'll put nothing in the parentheses. So it's going to be just void finalize empty parentheses, and then take care of anything you want to take care of within that class, and that will basically be executed just before garbage collection. We don't have to call it. Okay. Note, the garbage collector runs periodically, and you cannot predict exactly when it's going to execute. Therefore, you cannot know exactly when an object's finalize method will execute. So if you're trying to time something, yeah, you can't always count on that. But if you need to clean up some things, or you need to basically capture some data from an array that's inside of that class, you can do that in the finalize and maybe store it somewhere outside or whatever you need to do. Okay, so 8.11 starts getting into object-oriented design and class collaboration. So basically, let's kind of take a look at this thing called stock purchase. So if we take a look at the stock purchase, this is a class that has a stock, and int shares. So here we have a object as one of the instance variables, and so when we basically when we instantiate this, the stock purchase constructor here, which is bringing in a stock and an int, and so it comes down here and says stock equals new stock and stock object. So this guy is created, but it's not instantiated. It gets instantiated here, and it's basically instantiated with this stock object. Okay, so it's a stock. So we're passing in a stock, and we create a new stock from that guy. And so, so here we have public stock get stock. So here it's returning a stock. Here returning an int. We have get cost, which is a method, returns the shares times a stock dot get share price. Okay. So basically here we have a object created, and here's where we instantiate it from another stock object. So this has just a regular stock. We've seen this one before. I don't want to go into all that, but it's basically got a string and a double, and here's our stock that has a signature of a string and a double, and here is our stock constructor with just a stock object. So we've seen that before, I believe, in this chapter. And then we basically have our stock trader, which is our void main, and here we have stock XYZ company. So here we are having an object, we're instantiating it as a new stock, and we're passing in a string double. Okay, so that constructor is going to be executed. And then we basically got our scanner keyboard, and this is where we basically print the XYZ stock as currently, and we basically print out get the share price. And then I say how many shares do you want to buy. We get type shares to buy. Basically we get that from the keyboard scanner. And then we say stock purchase by. So here's our stock purchase class. We're creating an object called by, and we're instantiating as a new stock purchase, and we're passing in this stock object, and then the number of shares we are planning to buy, which is a integer. And then we print out the cost of stock by.getCost. Okay. So again, we're passing in a stock object. Now what's nice about this is we're passing in this stock object, and this stock object right here, but we're not modifying that stock object. All of that data will remain in that stock object. So we could modify the new stock object that's created within, it's instantiated within that class. So we go ahead and run this guy, and it says XYZ stock is currently 9.62. How many shares we want to buy? We're going to buy 10. Hit the enter key. It says the cost of the stock is now 96.20. So 9.62 times 10 is 96.20. So not too bad. So again, passing stock class, passing objects, passing all those class references within the constructor and all that. So pretty cool stuff. So last thing on page 550, it talks about common errors to avoid. And this is attempting to refer to an instance field or instance method and a static method. So static methods can refer only to other class members that are static. Okay, so static method can only talk about other static things. And a method that accepts an object as an argument, writing code that accidentally modifies that object. So be careful of that. So we're receiving an object, try not to basically modify that object. This is when a reference variable is passed as an argument to a method, the method has access to the object. So again, be careful of that. Allowing a null reference to be used. So we showed the example for that. If you're going to have a null, because again, when we instantiate a variable, when we create a variable, it's basically set to null. If it's a string, or if it's an object. If it is numeric, it should be automatically set to 0. So again, if we try to then pass those null referenced instance variables, we will get an error. Forgetting to use the full or qualified name of an enum constant. So again, make sure you use the fully qualified name, and what we mean by that is make sure you basically deal with the car type dot, car color dot, those types of things. Okay, so that's basically it for chapter 8. We will basically, the following class or the following week will be our midterm. Again, what I'm going to do is I will basically give you some code that will have some missing pieces in there, and you basically need to add the missing pieces to go ahead and make it work. So open book, so make sure that you kind of go through these things and kind of get a really good understanding of where you know to go to basically, or kind of a good idea of what to do to kind of fix this code. Again, all my contact information is out there. You can go ahead and contact me. We can go ahead and, if any questions, email me, and we'll basically see you next week or the week after. Bye.